if it goes well, I'm that silent cabinet member that, hey, you know what? We don't need Gil for anything today. I was like, you need me. You just don't know it, right?
Welcome back to another episode of the Powercast. I'm here alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, my dude from California, Jeff Pelzel. And we got a very special guest, but I'm going to let Jeff introduce our first guest of this nature. So Jeff, take it away.
Well, Rick, it's just an honor, honestly, to capture the opportunity to meet with Gil Mara, who's the Chief Educational Technology and Information Services Officer with the Torrance Unified School District. And Gil, we're getting you right as you're exiting on your way to retirement, but you're one of the first people I remember when I joined PowerSchool 2.5 years ago, had these deep conversations with you, and it's just been honestly a privilege to have these opportunities to engage with you, learn from you. And for us, this is going to be a great opportunity to learn from you, your experience and those kind of things. And so, what I'd love to have you do is talk a little bit about your background, Gil, and share with the audience and listeners here and what your role is, because that title encompasses a lot, is all I know. And so, give the audience a little bit of background about who you are and your role within Torrance Unified.
Yeah, nice seeing you again, Jeff, and nice to meet you, Rick. Some of this conversation may be a little bit of a history walk because I've been around for a while. So I started out as a middle school science teacher in 1990. I was in the classroom for about 5 years, and the most important technology at the time was an overhead projector. So I needed to make sure I had 2 extra bulbs to get me through the year. So those were heady times, and around 1994, 95, I had the opportunity to have something called the internet put in my classroom, which was really cool. Made front page news in the local paper. And then that was the beginning, right? Got pulled out of the classroom, brought over to the district office at the Hawthorne School District, where I spent 25 years there. So I spent, really learning what it meant to run technology in a network. I was a biology major, so I hadn't taken a computer class. Haven't taken one yet, but it's too late now. And then the last 10 years has been at the Torrance Unified School District, where my own kids went to school. And as the Chief Technology Officer, I'm going to shorten that title to a CTO. It does a lot of the same things. My role is part of operations, infrastructure when it comes to the technology side. So imagine your Wi-Fi, your data center, all of that, cybersecurity as all under my responsibility. But a larger piece of that is the EdTech piece, is the educational technology. Being a former teacher, that's what's kind of near and dear to my heart. After all the blinky lights and the wires, it's how do we educate our students through the use of the technology that we're bringing in through the platforms, like through the EdTech platforms and obviously our PowerSchool products too. So that's kind of the short of it. My role is encompassing quite large. I do have tech TOSAs that report to me. When I started in Torrance Unified, IT and EdTech were 2 separate entities. And, in a lot of districts, when you don't have one person to kind of oversee that, there's a little bit of feuding and infighting not because anyone's maliciously doing anything, but you have kind of different agendas, right? The teachers want to do one thing, the IT folks well, we have to actually do it this way. So over the last 10 years, being able to bring both sides together has been really great for our district, so that we're all going in that same direction now and doing a lot of great things. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell and what I've been up to in the last 35 years. And as Jeff has alluded to, I am 2 days away from retirement. So it feels like I've seen and done it all, but I'm sure there's more ahead.
When you think about your role, and I would say as a former superintendent, that's one of our blind spots, knowing the details of what your CTO's day-to-day is. But when you think about K-12 specifically, what keeps you up at night? What are some of the barriers that seem to be common in K-12? But then Also, what gets you excited about where technology is going? So kind of both sides of the coin there, if you will.
Yeah, I think any CTO nowadays, right, what keeps them up at night is a cybersecurity breach, that possibility. So we and my colleagues, we invest quite a bit in making sure that our systems are protected, right? So there's that piece. The other side of it is, I want to ensure that, like you said, it may be a blind spot for some superintendents, but I was really fortunate in Torrance and even in Hawthorne to always have a seat at the table. And that was one of my conditions in the coming into Torrance is I need to be in cabinet, and even further than that, I was part of executive cabinet, which was a little unusual to be sitting with the superintendent, chief personnel, chief business, chief HR, and chief education, and then chief CTO, right? So that I can also be privy to all of the discussions in the district, not just technology, but I can offer my insights when it comes to technology and what may be happening in EdTech or education or curriculum in instruction, and what may be happening in the business office, maintenance and operations, or what's going on at the warehouse. As we know, as CTOs, we seem to touch everything, right? If across the board, if it goes well, I'm that silent cabinet member that, hey, you know what? We don't need Gil for anything today. I was like, you need me. You just don't know it, right? Because everything is working well. So I think that's the piece. Aside from the cybersecurity side, really having my colleagues that we continue to advocate for for what's important for the district. We know that it should be all about learning, and what is our role in ensuring that that learning continues to take place.
Gil, you've been a long time PowerSchool customer, deep partnership. We do a lot of different things with you. I've seen you at various conferences and other things and hosting different events. From your perspective, in your role, how has PowerSchool helped solve some of these challenges, whether it's, data, whether it's student information system, EdTech space? What has it meant to you, as a CTO of a fairly large school district here in Southern California?
Yeah, I've been a really long time PowerSchool customer, going back to the early 2000s when PowerSchool was owned by Apple, right? And I saw PowerSchool in its original web pages when I first saw it. And that goes way back when there was the old Apple logo sitting up in the corner. So been a long time customer, and it's been great to see it evolve and continue to see the acquisitions of PowerSchool and the other products as it complements not just the SIS. In the beginning, when we rolled out PowerSchool in my first school district, it was great. You just imported a bunch of spreadsheets. Things are a lot more complex nowadays. You need it to be integrated with a lot of other things. So one of the big pieces, going back to the classroom side, was Schoology that we brought in a few years ago. So the Schoology platform tied in with the SIS is huge, right? I really, really wish we had it in place and in time during the COVID years. We got it done, and now it is the default, platform, obviously, for our teachers to be able to deliver their instruction and lay out the lesson plans and get all the digital resources in place. So Schoology's been really huge. When I came to Torrance, we were on another SIS, but I knew that we needed to move on. We needed a platform that could grow with us. Torrance was 3 times larger than my previous district, so I know I needed kind of a gorilla of a SIS, and I knew that PowerSchool was growing immensely, and that the development of PowerSchool was accelerating quite a bit. So I knew it was the platform that would take us into the future. And yes, I could say I saw that 10 years ago. So as we switched over to PowerSchool, and it continues to do that for us, whether it's Schoology, analytics and insights, we have that, and of course, School Messenger, Naviance. We have quite a few of the products of PowerSchool. And as we plug those things in, it supports many departments, right? When it comes to, departments, especially on the ed services side, when they do a lot of research and data. And, next week when our administrators come back, they'll be diving into analytics and insights to look at their previous year's data so that they can, take a look at the students that need help and look at the trends and patterns and see how they'll divvy up their resources in the coming year to support the kids that are, maybe falling behind a little bit, or the special populations of students that we need to continue to support, like special ed.
Gil, can I just ask real quick, so given the journey of these different solutions, what's AI looking like? I mean, because we have PowerBuddy built into a lot of these different solutions. Where is Torrance on that journey?
Yeah, well, we're still dabbling, right? So a couple years ago, well, shouldn't say we're dabbling. We're knee deep. Dabble means you're just kind of waiting for someone else. We're not waiting for anyone. So a couple years ago, I was put in charge of our AI task force, and we've been looking at other platforms. So we did pilot another platform, and we're still looking at PowerBuddy also. So at this point, it's developing the policies, making sure the policies are in place, the messaging is right, and that our teachers, and we had packed classes this summer on all of our summer PD with our teachers wanting to get more info and really delving into AI, right? So we've been using AI, how they develop their lessons. So we had a cohort of 50 teachers who used it all of last year. And it's a game changer, right? There's still some hesitancy, so we made sure the folks on our task force, questioned a lot of it. Especially our English language teachers, like, oh my gosh, what is this thing writing for our kids? The kids need to learn how to write. So that the discussion has to be, well, let's look at, how does it become an assistant? How does AI really change the way you have to deliver instruction yourself, right? Back when we were students and you had to go home and write an essay on Abraham Lincoln, you went to an encyclopedia, chopped up a perfectly good article out of an encyclopedia, ripped it apart and says your own words, which was really bad, turned it in, and it was an essay, right? It wasn't a good assignment back then. So telling a kid today to go home and write an essay on Abraham Lincoln
with your thesaurus right next to you, right? As you're changing
those words and you tried to dumb it down to like seventh grade. So it wasn't back then. I don't know what I learned. I learned about encyclopedias. I got distracted reading other things.
Well, what's funny is, your English teacher's like, your sentence structure for this paper is very unique. Like, I've never seen you write like this.
Yeah, this is great. And now they're seeing the same thing, right? Wow, you were at this level of writing last year, and all of a sudden, this is just amazing. So that's the fear now, right? But then, right, we know that there's a scale. You can, right, you can assign lessons like, all right, kids, no AI here, right? We are just going to produce something, and then at various points, right, you can introduce and say, okay, with this assignment, this is where you're allowed to use it. Here are the restrictions around it. This is what you can prompt it with. And really change your instruction that way. So our teachers have been doing some pretty amazing things with AI.
Gil, I've got to ask a quick follow-up just out of curiosity. You talked about you were evaluating some different products. What are the first two things that, if you're evaluating any solution that's going to touch the classroom, what are the two things that you kick the tires on first?
Yeah, so we do have a process, because you'll have teachers or principals, like they see the shiny object on the internet, or it's a free pilot, or download now and it's free, and then they'll want to install it, right? And next thing you know, they're trying to load student rosters into a product. I'm like, hold on, let's wait a minute, right? Because we've got data privacy agreements we have to work on. So there's that piece, and then there's the technical side. Who's supporting this, right? Is it EdTech, or is it my support staff on the IS side? Because how are we syncing this? What kind of data do we need to feed into this platform? Is it daily? Is it private information? Is it student last name, first name? So there's that side, the technical piece. Are we SFTPing information to this platform? And then, of course, if we get all of that figured out and then they've purchased it, they've licensed it, they have to understand whether or not, and this is really the role of the principal and the school leadership, right? Where does this application and platform fall in to my goals of the school? Why did we buy this, right? Why did we buy this? Sometimes it'll come from the ground up. It was, first, second grade teachers thought it was really cool. They saw it somewhere. So there's that piece. It has to be evaluated. So if a school site's decided that this is important, we took it to our leadership team and to our particular departments, and it's cleared its way all the way through the technical piece, the instructional piece, and then sometimes it has to go to cabinet, depending on the funding. Once that's all cleared, then all systems are go, and you can get it to go. So yes, so the evaluation is, what does it do for us, for the students and the kids? The technical piece, how do we support this? And then the sustainable funding, right? Is this a short-term or a long-term product that we have to keep on board? If it's a district-wide deployment or implementation, then it is probably started with Ed Services. Perhaps our chief academic officer or our C&I director that's brought it into cabinet so that we can take a look at it, and then it's discussed. Does it meet all of the standards as far as the technical side, and how do we deploy that to our administrators and our teachers, right? And getting them on board, and the training that will probably be involved in rolling out a new application and platform.
So you feel like it kind of leads into my next question. Like, you feel like the communication between departments, I'm hearing you talking about your process, and it seems like y'all have a great process. I've always struggled with, a lot of times, curriculum will want to roll something out and we'll rush to do it. And I'm saying we, because I've made this mistake, where you rush to do it and you don't consult with your CTO, your technology. In terms of those silos and those barriers, do you feel like we're in a better place as an educational community of making sure we're including the right folks in the conversations when we're just really trying to help students?
I think we are in a better place now. Even in speaking with some of my colleagues, a lot of leadership, superintendents, cabinet, they understand the role of IT, right? They're just not the guys in the back with their computers and their servers. They understand how important it is to make sure that communication is taking place. Again, I had the benefit of sitting at the table, so they got to look at me no matter what. They were stuck with me. It's like, oh God.
You could veto it if you wanted to, right? That's not going to work. Just veto it.
Gil's going to say something. He's going to squash the entire plan. We have these grand visions. He's going to come in and talk about how the batteries don't fit correctly or something, right? But now I think it's a lot better. The communication that we have now, it took years to build out. This role, that long title I have, didn't exist when I came in, right? So we had to create this. The district had, this is important. We need IT and EdTech to be really kind of one group of folks that are all going in the same direction. So I had the fortune of being the first person in this role and developing those lines of communications between the different departments. So, we have our monthly meeting with my IT, IS, and EdTech. We meet, every last third Thursday of every month, and we line it all up. And it's a great, healthy discussion, lots of arguments and fights sometimes because IT says, we've got to do this, and EdTech will like, wait a minute, but we're testing at that time. We can't reboot the district, okay? So having all of that calendared out and knowing who's pushing which button and pulling which lever so that we don't upset the apple cart along the way, and making sure that we're thinking about every group, whether it's the classified staff, the teachers, the office staff, like anything we do is an eye on, are we getting in the way of someone's productivity? Are we getting in the way of someone's work, right? Can we do this after hours? Or did we even communicate it properly? Like, this is about to happen. Did you know that the last thing we want to hear, I ever want to hear, is like, no one told me you were doing this. Like, no one told you we were rolling XYZ out. Like, how did you not know? So was there a breakdown from cabinet all the way down through, right, our senior directors of elementary and secondary, down to the principals and down to the teachers? You want to keep that vertical communication up and down, and of course horizontal communication between the departments. And however you do it operationally, my superintendent and I, we always messed around with all kinds of communication tools. Like, hey, maybe we should try Slack. I'm like, I don't know about that one. We all end up back to email, and then we find out that it's not the technology all the time. Like, you find a cool thing to try and use, but it's literally sitting down face to face at the table and just hashing things out. And then sure, pick a cool platform if you want to, some project management tool. Sometimes it gets more in the way. I rather do this. So we do a lot of just talking and looking at each other and staring each other down because I need more money. You know.
One of the things I think is interesting is I do think that one of it, maybe a silver lining with the pandemic, was I think it really did force us to understand and appreciate the role of CTOs, and it also forced the conversation between ed services because we were dealing with a lot of nuances we didn't, and I do think that helped us and forced us to engage in breaking down the silos. And definitely, I know when I was a superintendent during that, I elevated the role of at the time was just a coordinator in my district to a direct executive. And it just, the board saw the need. We went through a ransomware attack, and he helped us so significantly that I think we have new appreciation for that role, and oftentimes just took it for granted, I think, prior to that.
Yeah. I'd like to hope and believe that no one takes all of that for granted now. The cybersecurity is a big thing. It doesn't, you went through it, Jeff. So we always have an eye on that. But the question always remains, and my superintendent, Dr. Tim Stowe, it's, like, how do we know it's all working? Right? This is always the big question. Like, we invest so much on Chromebooks and these platforms and iReady and Schoology. Like, is it really moving the needle? Right? So that becomes the big way. We asked the same question when I switched from the chalkboard to the overhead projector. Wow, did this really move the needle? Because now the kids, right? So you're looking at that SAMR model, right? Are we really redefining the way kids are receiving instruction, right?
So Gil, what does a perfect in your role? I mean, I think right now data is the foundation of everything. That's what I think. So what does a perfect data system look like for you, and where are you headed with that in your district? Because it's like we got to have ease of access. To me, I think is the number one thing. But what are you seeing?
Yeah, I guess the perfect data system is one that's like absolutely accurate. That takes a lot of work. Accuracy is one thing. So where's that source of data coming from? And to be honest, on our, because we implemented analytics and insights, the district also went through School City. So every district has gone through kind of a data warehouse repository at some point. Watching my team work, Heidi and my team, my IS manager, they work really hard to make sure that the data is accurate, that it's coming in correctly, it's in sync, so that when the data is presented to our principals, that they trust it, right? So a perfect set of data or perfect data system is one that people have absolute trust in. So when they see a graph and they see a line and they see a roster of kids, like, they actually believe it. So you get through a phase where you've got to get it implemented, you put it in, but then you get the feedback like, this is way off. But the minute you start losing trust, and they'll try it 2 or 3 times, like, this stuff doesn't work. I'm just going to go into some other PowerSchool. I'm just going to download a bunch of raw data. I'm just going to do it on my own, right? So you don't want to hear that. when you've invested money into a data system. So yeah, the perfect data system is one that you can really trust, and then easy to manage. But having worked with data and my team working with data, there's actually a lot of work behind all of that. Even though your scope of work and PowerSchool's got great engineers and great people to work with, but it takes so much energy and time for both parties to get it right, right? It really is a shared commitment to want to get it right. And so, and it's a process. We continue to do that. As the principals come in next week, we're hoping to deliver the data that they trust and that they're going to see, and continue to improve on it.
Gil, you've hit on several things about what you look for in solutions and really the folks that you work with. The money situation in almost every state is a challenge. And when school districts are looking to invest, how do you weigh that investment? Is it solely on price? Is it price, partnership, capability? Like, what's your sliding scale to know this is the folks that we want, these are the folks we want to invest with, here's why, and how does price figure into to that equation?
Yeah, that's a big one. I have, I am, afforded a budget, which is nice. And when I get my budget each year, you have the items that you just don't touch, right? Like these are you've got to fund cybersecurity. You have to fund an SIS. We need a communications tool. And you look at it and say, is there anything you would give up? Well, like, let's say something costs $100,000. Can we live without that? If we were paying that, it wasn't doing its job if you could live without it, right? Or maybe the need is no longer there. So, Rick, I would like to say that money is huge, right? That's a big piece. Any product that you're spending and investing on, you want to make sure that it's being used. But aside from that, it has to work for the district, right? And then you have to have that trusted partner. So if the risk is always bringing in a platform or a partner that may not have a history. So you've got to do some research. Like, hey, I see that you use this platform. How's it going with them? What's the support like, right? Support is huge also. Do they get back to you? How do they, are they flexible? So support is huge. The cost is obviously a variable, but really it's what is it solving a solution, right? So the reason we're bringing this in, there must be some problem or something we're trying to enhance or something we're trying to get to that we can't get to in any other way, right? So this provider probably has a solution and a product that really supports us in some way and will enhance the goal of the district, right? Indirectly supporting the students and helping them learn, or helping our staff be more productive, right? Like getting at the data easily. When the 3-day PD happens for all of our administrators next week on August 4th, 5th, and 6th, I won't be there, but good luck to everyone. We're going to be delivering a lot of data to them, and they need to be able to take a look at it and really just have those conversations among themselves and among their staff. So those are the products that we would look for. Like, how does that move along? It could be even like a textbook adoption. Probably I don't know what cycle we're in, but when you look at a textbook adoption, how does that enhance our curriculum and instruction there? And don't forget to bring in IT, because it'll probably be digital and it'll probably be clever or class linked somehow, and you got to get a roster into it. We're not perfect. We had something come in that, like, oh, you didn't tell us you were doing this, and there's no clever saying. There's no, what do you mean we're doing this manually? This just happened last year, so we weren't very happy. But right, we can it's work in progress. We'll continue to do
Fair enough.
that.
You know, the good news though, Gil, is 2 more days and you're done. So what's your plans? Post retirement. What are you gonna do? What's the first thing you wanna get to as you head into August?
Yeah, so I walked down to the local library and I got a library card. I haven't had a library card since I was a kid, so it's really cool now. It's all digital. There's even been an app for that. And I checked out a book. I checked out a physical book. So I'm really lucky to be like steps away from the beach. So the first week I'm gonna take my James Patterson book because I usually do audiobooks. Grab my beach chair and the umbrella and like go sit for hours and read. Probably put on my swim trunks. Maybe I'll get myself wet. I'm gonna stay near the lifeguard because I'm not a good swimmer. I'm gonna ask him to keep an eye on me because like, hey, I'm just here
Gil,
chilling.
do we need to send you some floaties? I can send some
You know
from
what?
Expedite from
I,
Texas if you need those.
I have no shame. I maybe just put some on my arm so I can just float out there. 5 minutes in the water, come up and read. So I've got that. Hobbies between recreation, between basketball, pickleball, and golf. I mean, that's 20 hours a week right there. So I've got that. Catching up with friends, who of course some of them are already retired. They're just kind of waiting on me so I can get that coffee at 10 o'clock, which I could never do. And then I've got the hobbies. I keep a reef tank, so I love my fish, my coral, my reef coral. Then I'll let the weeks go by. It seems that there's some consulting opportunities out there I'm being tapped for, but as it's getting closer, I think just really hold off on that. And then, of course, travel. My wife and I travel quite a bit anyway. So for her, she's going to enjoy it because she no longer has to plan around my board meetings. So she plans around is like, when's cabinet, when's board, when's your next thing? It's always really shortened. So now when she asks, are you free on? I just, yep, sure. I am free to take the cruise or the trip or to fly out to, we catch all the national parks. So we're at 35 of the 63 national parks. So we've got 28 more to go. So we'll get that done on the bucket list. So yeah, so stuff like that. And of course, I have a lot of friends in EdTech and K-12, so I'll stay in the mix and keep in touch with people. I'm a people person. I need to be able to talk to people and see people. So I continue doing that.
That's awesome, man. But just, I mean, Jeff, first, just thank you to introducing me to Gil and just hearing some of his story. And congratulations, Gil. I know that's a heck of a career and serving students and districts and really helping grow out the position of CTO because it's vital now. I mean, obviously we get it now, but golly, I think about all of the probably missteps I've made if, just leveraging the expertise of our folks a little bit better. So kudos to you. Congratulations on a happy retirement and all the reading on the shore though, Gil. No, don't get out there and drift away on us. But
Right. I'll try.
it's great to meet you and just best wishes to you and appreciate your service.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick.
All right. Well,
All
if
right.
you like what you heard and saw, please like, subscribe, and share. On behalf of my California brother and co-host, Jeff Pelzel, and on behalf of a happy retirement for Gil here, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Powercast.